You talked a bit about Doge. Elon Musk is currently a quote special government employee who also owns companies that have billions of dollars in federal contracts. You said earlier this week that he has abided by all applicable federal laws, but what steps is the Trump administration taking to address that conflict of interest?
The president was already asked and answered this question this week, and he said if Elon Musk comes across a conflict of interest with the contracts and the funding that Doge is overseeing, then Elon will excuse himself from those contracts. And he has again abided by all applicable laws.
Yeah, Elon Musk also, by the way, has not undergone a background check or had a security clearance or literally any of the other stuff that MAGA would demand of every single person that works in a Democratic administration. So just be very clear about that in terms of him complying with laws and everything. But think about that. The official spokesperson for Donald Trump just said he's off doing stuff that Trump has no idea what it is. Trump doesn't understand the first thing about any of the work that's happening at any of these agencies, let alone what Doge is doing to undercut it. And if he comes across a conflict of interest, he'll excuse himself. Like Clarence Thomas or something, where we're supposed to expect. I thought this was supposed to be like a movement that was like questioning of the elites. You're saying the richest person that's ever lived is going to choose not to do corrupt stuff totally willingly, and there will be no oversight to even see if he's chosen right or chosen wrong on those. Congress isn't gonna look to see if he's taken himself out of consideration for corruption or whatever. And the people he's sending around, he was trying to make sure you don't even know their names. They don't have to identify themselves to the media. They don't have to identify themselves to these departments. And so the official position of the Trump administration is you can trust the richest man in the world to not pursue his own financial interests over your interests. And they're fine with that. And Trump isn't even going to look, he doesn't even know. And he's already said, he said Elon Musk, quote, won't do anything without our approval, which can be read two ways. The first way that we talked about, but also whatever Elon Musk is doing, if he keeps the job, that has Trump's approval. Any of this nonsense is not just Elon Musk's doing, it has Trump's pre-stamp of approval. So just bear that in mind when your grandmother no longer gets, Medicare or Social Security checks.
Yeah, exactly. When people are dying, when the elderly are dying from a lack of Meals on Wheels access. I mean, it's incredible the idea that we still hold in this country that somehow the wealthy are benevolent. Not only put aside that they're smart or deserving, but that they are benevolent and self-regulating and actually very measured because they are the biggest hoarders of wealth in the world. Like that is insane what we give. And John, we're in like just such a different moment because before everyone was being cucked by Trump and it was like God, Emperor Trump. Well, now Trump, as we've documented for years now, is really not there. He's nobody home. And now the richest man in the world with less than $300 million, which for us is like chump change if we were to do the same thing to be able to buy the US federal government and put our own lackeys and our own little engineers, our own hackers in there, let's call them what they are. I mean, and now every Republican is not only living in the fear of Donald Trump. I mean, I don't have any sympathy for them, but they're living in the fear of the richest man on earth being able to easily anoint any kind of opposition to their seat. We're gonna replace you with somebody, and I can do that so easily with the amount of money that I have. Look at how I bought the presidency. So this is, I mean, it is the natural conclusion, let's be real, of the overturning of Citizens United. It's the natural conclusion of allowing dark money to go throughout and filter throughout our political system. And my God, if Democrats don't understand that the way forward is pointing this out, is pointing, and really, not even pointing the unconstitutionality out, because guess what? People don't care about the Constitution. It's important legally to bring it up, to remember it and all this. But the fact of the matter is, he did it. He's doing it. So what are you doing? How are you protecting your constituents? How are you fighting back? And honestly, you said 4 years, John. I hear you when a lot of these senators are not up for your election, but guess what? They can also resign. We can make their lives so miserable that they resign.
Yeah. That would be delightful. I would actually go for that. But yeah, this is just so many of these MAGA people, like you're not involved in the movement that you think you are. You think that you like are questioning of those who control things behind the scenes. Is it better when it's just not behind the scenes anymore? and they just literally buy an entire party? How is that good? You think you get to choose your representatives? No, not when Elon Musk can put $50 million into literally every election he wants to. You don't have any voice whatsoever. You think you're questioning of tech billionaires in particular, people who manage social media sites. No, they control your party. They're all buddies with Donald Trump.
Yep.
So again, you don't have the movement that you think you do. And what if you've been bought so cheap? All it took was Elon Musk posted some memes. And no, I liked his memes, and he doesn't seem to like trans people. So I think he can control literally everything. And I have no voice, I have no democracy, I likely have no financial future. I really like those memes that he stole from someone else on Twitter and reposted without attribution. That seems like a good deal, a good bargain for you.
Crazy Laura Loomer is about to make some sense. Watch.
What is it going to mean for the future of our country, our national security, and the incoming Trump administration if we have a bunch of technocrats who are also essentially welfare queens because their companies are receiving government subsidies and they want to take over our defense industry? If you have a bunch of tech bros with billions of dollars and direct unfettered access to the vice president and the president of the United States, and then they are also, very cordial with our adversaries, as in China and Iran. We see that Elon Musk is having these meetings off the books with Iranian officials, with Chinese officials. What does that mean for us and the future of our constitutional republic?
Okay, I told you she's making some good points. Looks like MAGA just found out they got taken by a bunch of globalists.
The person whose name was on the ballot was Donald Trump. He won the election, and his position on H-1B visas is that he thinks it's a good program that can have some benefit. His position on illegal immigration and the crisis on that in the country generally is that it has to stop. And I don't think it is impossible for the Republican Party, led by Donald Trump, advised by Elon Musk, and supported by a bunch of other Republicans out there, it's not impossible for this group to find its way to a common ground. H-1B visa program is reformed, fraud is eliminated, we find a way to bring in the smart people, the people that help America, and then on the southern border, we find a way to close it, stop the illegal immigration crisis, stop the drug crisis, stop the crime and the criminals. We can do both at the same time, and that's what Trump and Elon are for, and the vast majority of Republicans are going to support that.
And there's Scott Jennings saying that Donald Trump likes the H-1B visa that brings in high-skilled workers, which is what Elon Musk was a proponent of and Laura Loomer was opposed to. But now the question is, which one is it, MAGA? Are you for it? Are you against it? The Civil War begins.
You're totally right. And think of the irony here, Rachel. They shipped all their good manufacturing jobs overseas and said, we'll teach them to code. Now it turns out, no, actually, we're going to import people to do the coding.
She just summed it up really well. Learn to code, America. You're not learning to code? All right, we'll bring in cheaper labor so that we can pay them less, and they'll code.
If the argument is between Ann Coulter and Elon Musk, I'm going to side with Elon because he's got a more rational argument here. Part of the problem is in American schools and colleges and universities, they're not producing a lot of engineers. They're producing a lot of women's studies majors who are anti-Semites on some campuses. So we need more engineers. So how are you going to entice the smartest engineers in the world, but for a program like this?
And she just made the point that we're not creating enough engineers, which I guess she makes a good point. But we also have underfunded our education. Our schools have been underfunded. So we're not creating a lot of everything because the right and MAGA keeps wanting to take away from public schooling, keeps wanting to take away funding, keeps wanting to take away programs, keeps wanting to privatize schooling. And here we are in a world in which we don't have enough engineers to possibly work in these jobs that Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy were advocating to have H-1B visas for. Now, the H-1B visa is very interesting because it's supposed to be high-skilled workers. They've got a skill. We need them. A lot of engineers come through. A lot of them go to the tech world, accounting, a lot of accountants. People are coming from places like India, other Eastern countries, Middle East, some other places. They're coming here because they qualify for these jobs. But what you find out when you look at it actually is these companies like Google and some of these other big tech companies that are hiring these people are actually underpaying them. So it's not just that they're high skilled, it's that they're willing to work for less. Now, for them, it's good. It's a great opportunity. They're coming, they're making good money, probably sending some of that back home. But for American workers, they're getting screwed because they're being undercut by the guys coming in with the H-1B visas. So it's not the workers' fault, and it's not the American workers' fault, nor the H-1B visa workers' fault, but it is the fault of these multi-billion-dollar companies that are trying to cut corners and cut costs. And rather than hiring some people that are American citizens that might be qualified for these jobs and paying them the full wage that they deserve, or rather than actually putting money into the American school system and saying, these are the kinds of people that we need, so start training more and more people in the world of engineering, in the world of coding, or whatever it is that you need for the tech world. These companies are just putting a Band-Aid over it and saying, let me go find someone who's going to do it for cheap, bring them in, and we won't fund the future workforce. And that's the big problem that we run into all the time, where MAGA is saying that immigrants are taking our jobs, but the truth is that technology, that advancement is taking people's jobs, and we're not doing a good job of training our people to take those jobs. You understand? And so we end up in a situation where people are coming in, taking less pay and doing those jobs, and we're in the situation where that causes a rift within MAGA. And Laura Loomer was right about the tech bros. The tech bros basically bought the election. If you don't think Elon Musk bought the election, look at how much he put in. Look at the profits he made. He put in about like 120 million or so through his super PAC, and right away his net worth went up by tens of billions of dollars. I mean, that's a great investment. That's a very short-term investment. It's a great investment. So the tech bros, they're the ones. Peter Thiel is the one who put J.D. Vance in the position to be vice president. So if you guys don't see it, you should look around and look at who's funding what and how this is all coming into play. Elon Musk did that tweet that slowed down the passing of the budget just a couple weeks ago. So yes, they were joking that Elon Musk is the president, but really he and a bunch of others have taken over and continue to take over, and they're benefiting from all of this stuff. When you end up in this international world where there's no fair play, the more money you have, the better you do. That's why we need regulations, and that's why people like Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and other tech bros hate regulation.
The image of the day, or images of the day from my point of view, is you had Donald Trump sitting there being sworn in as the next president of the United States, his, let's call it likely, top cabinet members right behind him.
Yep.
With Jeff Bezos,
yes,
Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, Sundar Pichai, Tim Cook.
Yeah,
that was. Keep in mind they
had better seats than the cabinet members.
They had
right?
better seats than most of the cabinet members.
Well, we have officially entered into Trump 2. Electric. Oh, we are screwed. I think that's the name of the film officially. Listen, I mean, in fairness to the new president, the new old president, the new president, he did a little break in between to commit felonies. He's in there, but this time it's going to be different. He is a man of the people now. He cares about lowering grocery prices.
The president-elect is moving the goalposts on some of his pledges, like lowering the price of groceries. It's hard to bring things down once they're up, Trump says. You know, it's very hard.
What's that I'm being told? He already said he's going to have a very hard time lowering prices. Okay, sure. But at least the inauguration is going to prove that he's a man of the people. What's that? It's indoors, and the people that flew there are not able to see the inauguration. But he did reserve seats in the very front for all of the tech CEOs that run social media. Got it.
Jeff Bezos, the billionaire owner of the Washington Post and Amazon and that space company, standing in front of RFK Jr.
You see, an oligarchy is taking place here in America. And if you don't know what an oligarchy is, it's when a bunch of rich, oily guys, or oligarchs, gain all the power, and the government serves only to serve them and not the people. But I'm sure that won't get out of control right off the bat. I mean, yes, they were there seated ahead of the president's own cabinet, and in a very limited amount of seats. It was basically them, RFK Jr. and Carrie Underwood, who waited a very long time to start singing. it's not so bad. I'm sure they're not going to get drunk on power like right off the very beginning. You know, I'm sure like Elon Musk, who's the closest to Trump out of all of them, wouldn't then go to the president's inauguration parade rally event at the Capital One Arena in DC right after that and do this, would he?
Thank you.
So he did. So that's what he decided. How he decided to end his speech at an arena there. Maybe he made a mistake. He didn't. I'm sure he corrected it when he then turned to the people in the back of the audience.
My heart goes out to you.
He did it twice. Okay, but here's the thing. Who cares? It's not like we. Okay, it's bad. I can't sugarcoat it, really. I mean, I think the perfect analogy being that he literally only made the inauguration for insiders, literally indoors in a much smaller space where he couldn't invite his supporters who are supposed to be who he cares about now. But of course he didn't. He did care about some of his supporters, though. He signed a bunch of executive orders on day one, including pardoning over 1,500 of the January 6th Capitol insurrectionists, including people that took batons and poles to beat police officers with. So that's nice. It's just like everyday Americans. You know, the guy with the Camp Auschwitz sweatshirt, he's been pardoned. You know, all the really great folks that are now empowered even further. And why would Trump have all of these tech CEOs there? Well, A, it's obviously because he loves when people show fealty to him, when they get on their knees and do what they have to do to make sure they make a little bit of extra profit at the cost of truth. They only paid $1 million to be there, and Zuckerberg threw a party for him for the inauguration. He wants to be one of the cool guys. These guys were against him in his first term, and now they are just all getting in line. And it's not like they just control social media, which they do, controlling the people that were there. Control only Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp, the Washington Post, all of Google, all of TikTok. That's right, the super bad danger to our democracy spy software that Trump said we had to shut down a few years ago. TikTok, CEO of TikTok was also there as well. Rupert Murdoch, of course, was there. Somehow being kept alive by the sheer will of greed and evil. And that's what we got now.